Hey, this is Joe from PreSonus. In this video, I want to dive into clip gain envelopes in the project page. With version 5.5 of Studio One, we added clip gain envelopes to the mastering page. I'm really excited about this feature, but if you're new to mastering, or maybe you haven't even really dabbled in mastering yet, it might not be immediately clear why and how this is useful, so I want to show that to you. Let's say we're doing our job well. We're listening to this in our studio, but we're also checking it on headphones and even in the car. Let's say we're driving down the interstate and we listen to this song in our car and we can't really hear this section. It got too quiet. Dynamics is great. Too much dynamics causes us to not hear sections without having to ride the volume knob in our truck. I don't have a truck, but I just felt like saying truck. One of the goals of mastering is to not have the user ever need to touch the volume. They set a volume that makes them feel good inside, and they never touch it again, and your music just plays past them wonderfully. It's exactly where they want it to be. That's one of the goals of good mastering. So let's say that happened in this section here. Well, now that we have clip gain envelopes, we can adjust the volume of this exactly how we want it. And it's more than just taking a chunk of audio and turning it up. We can actually massage the audio to get exactly what we want. So if I right click on this event here and I click on the checkbox for gain envelope, we can now see this horizontal line show up. Now in the crudest of forms, I could do something like this. Whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. I could switch over to like the transform tool and I could select this section like here and I could just go boink and increase the volume. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se. That may be exactly what it needs, but probably, if I had to guess, it's going to need a little more finesse to it. So I see that the track is, like, where's the downbeat? It's... So kind of right here, on this little bump right there, that's where the downbeat happens. That's the part that I want to be just a little bit louder. So what I might do is, as this part's fading out over that cymbal swell, I might come in and increase this volume just a bit. And what I love about clip gain envelopes is, while of course we need to do this with our ears, being able to see visually what's happening to the audio is super helpful. I can see that this blob here is about the same volume as this. Maybe bring it down just a little bit. Let's just see how that one change sounds. Or maybe we decide, okay, that's good, but then once we get to this downbeat where the cymbals have faded out, that's really where I need to hear that acoustic guitar more. And so maybe we bring it up even more. And maybe for this one, we decide we want that to kind of fade in more. So if I zoom in, I see this middle, so this is the node or the nodule, that word makes me uncomfortable. This is the part we made before, here's the one we just created now. And if we hover over the middle, you'll see this little kind of different colored circle appear. This one allows me to adjust the curve between the 2 points. So very similar to how our fades work on the song page, except we're just kind of fading from one point to the next. So maybe this one will do something like this. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, too much, but you get the idea. So let's take this final spot here and let's bring it back down. It just needs to come up a little more. How about that? And now we've increased that volume, but what we've also done is increase the volume for everything else down here, so it might be too loud. Yeah, we've made that too loud now. So we need to come back in where this starts to build in. We have to kind of find a way to fade it back out without losing the buildup that's happening in the recording and in the mix. Does that make sense? Let's see if we can do that. So it starts to build here. So right here, the acoustic guitar gets louder, okay? And so maybe we can kind of slowly fade this back down to kind of where we were at the beginning, at the 0 point, and let it build like it normally would. Okay, so now we're just back to where we were. This part here, this dot here, is at 0 dB, meaning no change has been made, as is this one. So we've just gone in, if we look at kind of the holistic view of the song, we've taken this middle section, we've brought it up, we've brought it back down, so there's no blip in the audio where we can hear the obvious change in volume. We've just kind of ridden the fader up, so to speak, for this section. Now if we come in and we remove the clip gain envelope, or we bypass it for a second, we can see this is what the original audio was doing, and this is what it's doing now. Not a huge major change, but if you look at the waveform, you'll see we're a little bit closer between the quieter parts and the loudest parts. We don't want them to be exact, right? You've seen those mastered songs where everything is pushed up so loud into the limiter, it looks like just a rectangle, this big caterpillar waveform. We don't necessarily want that, but we also don't want things to be so different in volume that we have to continually ride the volume knob in our truck. There's that truck again. I must want a truck today, to be able to hear everything. So this is kind of a happy medium where I'm increasing this volume without having to push the rest of the song up louder into the limiter just to get this section of the song turned up. Does that make sense? I'm going to say that again because that's a very important point. One of the ways we could make this section louder is to take the entire song and make the entire song louder. And then all the loud parts, the first 2/3 and the last quarter of the song, I just messed up my fractions there, the first half and the last quarter of the song, those whole sections would get turned up into a limiter, and the limiter would start smacking those down. And then this quieter middle section, this part that's like part C, would also be louder, but it wouldn't be turned down because it's quieter than the rest. And that's one way to accomplish, quote unquote, what we did here, except the rest of the song is going to sound terrible because we pushed it up into the limiter too much. This version works so much better because we can just push up this one section and then have it relax back down to its original volume before the big build. Now, this is something obviously you should do. This is kind of a mixing mistake that we're fixing in mastering, but there's been plenty of times where I'm mastering for someone, and rather than sending it back and saying, hey, remix this section, I can say, you know what, I can actually probably just do this. And I achieve what I needed them to do without having to send it back and forth. And they think I'm a genius, and everyone's happy, and they buy me a truck. Here's hoping. All right, that's it for this video. If you haven't played around with this feature, less is more. Don't go nuts with it. Don't look for opportunities to use it just because it's there. But when you have songs where you realize, there's a volume difference here that I need to address, this is a perfect tool to do that. It gives you a nice even audio from start to finish before you ever hit your compressors and your EQs and your limiters. If you liked this, you would love all the exclusive content we have inside of our PreSonus Sphere membership that gets you access to Studio One Professional and whatever the latest version is, and all future upgrades as long as you're a member. You also get Notion if you're into notation. You also get all the PreSonus add-ons like the different Fat Channel collections and the VT1 channel strip, which I'm really liking lately. All of that's included, plus exclusive videos from myself, from Gregor, and a bunch of other friends inside of the Sphere members area. So if you haven't checked it out yet, maybe just take a quick look over at PreSonus.com, see if it's right for you. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.